How's it going, guys? It's Dre Savage here, aka lowkeyasavage, and I'm here to give you guys a life update on being a dad. The last time I made a video, it was in the car. My wife was pregnant and I was on the verge of becoming a father, but now I am officially a father. My daughter is 3 months old, and I've been meaning to make this video for a while now, but as you can see, life has changed. It's not as easy anymore for me to shoot these videos, but I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to just kind of share my experience so far being a parent and just give any insight that I can for all those introverts out there who are on the verge of being parents or interested in being parents, or maybe you're already a parent. This is a subject that I'm becoming experienced in, so I'm happy to talk about it with you guys today. One thing I'll say before even having the child is that I had always imagined that I would have a boy first, and I'd always hoped that. And I know that sounds bad, but the reason I say that is because I had figured it would be easier to take care of a boy because I would know what to do, because myself being a male, I know the things that, a male wants, and needs, So the idea of having a girl to me was always something very foreign. I don't know the first thing about taking care of a baby girl, she needs certain hygiene things, she needs her hair to be done. And so I think why I had always wanted a boy is because I wasn't ready to step up to that responsibility of having a baby girl. But what I'll say is, after having a baby girl, I wouldn't have had it any other way. Honestly, I'm happier now that I had a baby girl first. It has really humbled me to have a baby girl. It has really just made me want to be there for her so much more and really protect her and give her everything that she needs. And one thing I'll say that I've learned from talking to a lot of parents is that when you have a girl and when they get older, it's actually your daughters that tend to look after their parents when they get old. When I'm an old man and I need taken care of, I'm not looking for anyone to take care of me, but when I do need that extra support, it tends to be daughters that check in on their father, that call their father every day. Even my wife, for example, she has such a close, beautiful relationship with her father. She calls him every day just to check on him, and make sure he's good. Versus, I hear a lot of parents say their boys, when their boys get older, they kind of just go off and do their own thing and leave you in the dust. I'm not saying every man does that, but it's great to know that my daughter is most likely going to be there for me through my ups and downs and through my entire life. Another thing that I expected before having my daughter is that I had this crazy idea of my life being very in order, okay? For the past several years, I'm someone who lives by a schedule, okay? I know what time I'm gonna wake up, I know what time I'm gonna work out, I know what time I'm gonna eat, I know what time I'm gonna post my videos. The reason, why I'm so schedule oriented is because it has led to me being consistent and finding a lot of success in my life. So before my daughter was born, I had it all planned, guys. I had it, the time that she was gonna be fed, the time that she was gonna go to sleep, all of these things planned out, and man, I could not have been more foolish. You gotta remember, this is a baby. She doesn't know or understand what you want. She doesn't care, okay? She's gonna do what she wants to do. She becomes the boss. Even though I'm technically the boss, I have to jump up and do what she needs in that moment. It was just funny because when she was born, and I was trying to follow my schedule, guys, I was really, really trying. And time again, it never worked out, okay? She falls asleep when she wants to. She wakes up when she wants to. She gets hungry at random times. Everything that I thought would be under my control was not under my control. It took me several weeks to just come to reality and be like, okay, Dre, it's time to let this schedule go. I have this vivid memory of the day where I was just like, Dre, you just gotta go with the flow and figure it out. It's gonna get better over time. And I vividly remember me just taking the schedule and just ripping it into pieces and just going on with my life and just saying, okay, we're gonna figure this out. Maybe not right now. I'm gonna come back to this, but right now I just gotta go with the flow, be there for my daughter and do the best that I can, So having a schedule is almost pointless, especially for the first few weeks. I will say once your child, gets like a month, 2 months, it gets better and better, and you can follow certain little things on your schedule, but you have to be able to adjust accordingly. And that's one thing that I feel like having my daughter has taught me, is that life won't always go according to plan. And it's just a reminder that you just gotta take what life gives you and make the best out of it. Another thing I'll say, guys, is before the baby came, is that, a lot of people prior to having a child, especially if they're if it's their first time. They take classes and they read books and they look at YouTube videos of how to do all of these things. And to be honest with you guys, I didn't really do any of that. A couple days before is when I started like, okay, let me check out a video on how to do this. And a part of me was like avoiding the reality that the baby is actually about to be here and that there are like real skills that you need to learn. So I was kind of just like, oh, like I'll be fine, it'll be cool. But I will say, like, I'm kind of glad that I had that mindset because I didn't stress over like knowing all the right things of what you need to do to be prepared for having a child. Because what I'll tell you is that it does not matter how much you prepare for having a child. There is no guidebook. When your child comes into this world, literally everything that you practiced on and worked on, it goes out the window. Now you're dealing with it in real time. Every child is different. Just because a certain technique may work that you saw to stop your baby from crying, that doesn't mean that it's going to work on your child. Experience is the best teacher, and that's something that I had to learn. For me, when our child was first born, there were so many things like I didn't know how to do. I didn't know how to change a diaper. I didn't know how to hold the baby. I didn't know how to feed the baby, make milk, do all of those things. It was really pathetic, guys. I knew nothing. Part of me, at times, I was trying to avoid being by myself with the baby. I wasn't confident that I knew what to do to make sure the baby is good. So it always gave me a sense of relief when my wife was around, because if the baby needed something while I was there, I would just like always get her advice on what to do. But there's always gonna come a time where you gotta step up and you gotta take that responsibility head on. So there was a time when my wife had to go and do something and it was just me and the baby at home, and I was like, man, the day is finally here. Of course, that was the day my baby daughter, she used the bathroom in a big way, if you know what I'm saying. I had to just deal with it. I had to change the diaper the best way I knew how. I had to make the milk. I had to do all of those things. It's something that you can avoid. Like I said, experience is the best teacher. The more you do it, the better you will get at it. So it's better to get a head start, to dive right in, when you have the baby. But I'll say, like, don't stress too much beforehand about all the things that you need to learn, because the only way you're gonna learn it is in real time. Now I want to look at a couple benefits or pros to having a child, and also want to look at a couple, I would never say cons, because honestly there hasn't been anything negative about having a child, but I will say there are definitely difficulties. So I want to look at a couple difficulties as well, so you guys out there who are interested in this stuff, hopefully you can gain something from it. One of the benefits to having a child is that you truly have a best friend. I know for me, for example, I've always been someone who has had a small circle, but over the years, my circle has gotten even smaller and smaller. Like, I probably only have like 2 or 3 friends that I'm really close with that I still talk to. Over time, people just go their separate ways. Like, people move to different areas. I was at a point where really it was just becoming my wife and I, and that was about it. And I'm happy with that. But what I'll say is that when you have a child, like I said, you truly have a best friend, in the sense that this is someone that literally like has your genes. There's a part of them in you. Naturally, they're going to gravitate towards some of the same things as you. I know some introverts out there who are very much loners and they don't really have anyone that they can hang out with. With a child, you have company now. That company is going to always be with you. What's great about having a child is that it gives you hope in humanity. I know for myself, I've gotten to a place where I don't really trust people anymore. Partly because, yes, at times I have trusted people and they've consistently let me down, but also because, yeah, just based off of the actions that I see and how people treat each other. I'm not a pessimistic person at all, but in a lot of ways I was starting to lose trust in humanity. And I'll say that having my baby girl just restored my faith in humanity, because she is truly innocent. She doesn't know anything about this world. It's just something humbling and endearing about looking at someone who just sees all the joy in the world, all the things that are possible, and it just kind of inspires you to not corrupt their view of the world. I'm excited because I know as she gets older, me and her are gonna get very close. We're gonna hang out, we're gonna laugh, we're gonna watch shows together. We're already doing some of those things, and she's only 3 months. She will literally sit down with me and I'll have like a movie on, and I kid you not, she cannot take her eyes off of the movie. Like, she watches it, she plays with me. No, like, my daughter can't talk yet, but she has a vibe, and I have a vibe. And sometimes we just vibe. Okay, no words need to be spoken. That's what's great, is that her presence is very much felt and appreciated. It's a presence of love, of innocence. I can feel our energy connecting. That's the best type of friend to have. I'm thankful for that extra companionship. Another benefit of having a child is that it's like a mini version of yourself. My daughter, literally everyone says like she has my face. And part of you, you're just kind of proud because you feel like an artist almost, like you created the canvas. You know that she picked up some of your traits, even though God is ultimately the one who designed each and every one of us. What's great about having a mini version of yourself is that it allowed me to gain deeper insight about myself. Having my daughter has truly taught me how patient I can be, how much I can love, and how much that I have to share. It's really kind of crazy how similar some of her mannerisms and her personality is to mine. You know, I have this thing, I guess it's an introvert thing, but I have this thing where I'm kind of like just always looking and scanning everywhere, looking around, just looking out the corner of my eyes, like just trying to figure out like what's going on. Funny enough, my daughter is the exact same way. This is something that you can't teach her. This is something that was just naturally part of her personality. So she's always like looking already at 3 months out the corner of her eye. She's watching, she's observing, she's analyzing. Like she'll stare at something for like literally a whole minute, just like thinking about it, pondering about it, like what's up with this. That's why I think that introversion is something you're born with. I think your environment can contribute to that, but ultimately I think that you're born with a personality and you are who you are. Of course, there are people out there who put on a persona and try to be someone you're not, but if you really just embrace who you are, what gives you energy, what makes you happy, what makes you feel powerful, I believe that we're all born with an innate personality. I truly see my behavior and my mannerisms in my daughter, and it's just kind of crazy to see it because it's like, wow, that's how I look. Another thing about my daughter is that it takes her time to warm up to people just like me. If you're someone who comes and you try to hold her and she doesn't know you, she's gonna give you that look like, who are you? For my daughter, for her to be calm and respect you, she has to see you consistently. She has to get to know you. That's just how she's been. That's something that we haven't taught her to be that way. It's just really cool to see how personalities take shape and how they pass on and carry on and things like that. I think another big benefit of having a child is that it helps you mature very quickly. A lot of us have vices that we partake in every day. Some of us have bad eating habits. Some of us have bad sleeping habits. Some of us have a tendency to hang out with the wrong crowd. You know, whatever it is, you know, that you have going on in your personal life. When you have a child, if you're not a selfish person, you'll see right away, it sinks in really quick that whatever I do is truly having an effect on my child. It's very important that whatever behavior I partake in or whoever I engage with, it's important that that thing is positive, that person is positive. Having a child motivates you to be a better person. That's definitely something that happened to me. It's motivated me to get back to my workout routines. It's motivated me to be more consistent with things, because when my daughter gets older, I want her to look up to me, to be inspired by me. You know, I want her to say, wow, my dad is really fit. You know, wow, my dad works really hard. My dad is very successful. So a lot of times when people have children, it forces them to be the best versions of themselves. That's definitely a benefit to having a child, is that it pushes you to grow up real quick and it humbles you in a lot of ways. You know, I'll say my perspective on life definitely changed, in the sense that a lot of things that used to matter don't matter as much anymore, like this constant chase for wealth that our society preaches. None of that really matters. Like, obviously you want to be able to take care of your child, but you start to realize the things that matter most are your family, making sure you're there for them, making sure you guys have great relationships. Before a child, you have this thing that everything I'm doing, I'm working hard, you know, I want to create this life for myself, I want to do this, I want to do that. But when you have a child, you know, it becomes about them. I want to pass on this to my child, I want to build this for my child. You sort of just switches your mindset to where it becomes one of giving, of sacrifice. Sacrifice is a beautiful thing. That's one of the, what I see as a benefit of having a child. Now we're going to get onto the other side. And again, these are not cons, but these are just difficulties that come with having a child. The first difficulty I'll say with having a child is definitely time management. Again, like I was talking about earlier, the idea of having a consistent schedule pretty much goes out the window, especially when they're very young. For me, I'm a content creator, I'm a filmmaker. And thankfully, I'm at a point now where I can support myself and my wife. But real talk, guys, like it has been tough for me to film, okay, consistently like I used to. Before having my daughter, I would make 3 to 4 pieces of content a day, and I would post those on several platforms. Where I'm at right now, I've been able to consistently get like 1 piece of content out a day, which is still good, which is still more than some people, but for my standards, like I feel like I have to do better. So I'm still working to get back to that point where I can be more consistent and put out more pieces of content. And I know there are other people out there with way more kids than me, and they're doing amazing, you know, so I know it's possible. I'm just still in that adjustment period. So you learn as you go. You learn how to make the best use of your time, even though you don't have as much time, because a lot of your time is dedicated toward taking care of your child and making sure they're good. It also forces you to be very efficient with your time. So those days of just like laying around and doing nothing, or just like scrolling through social media, I never did that, but I know some people, you know, have a problem with doing that. Literally, when you have a child, you'll see like the moment you have the opportunity to do something for yourself, you jump on it. Like when our daughter is asleep, me and my wife, we grab our devices and we start posting. We post as much as we can. And we know that we only have a certain amount of time. We may have an hour to get it done before our daughter wakes up. So you better take advantage of that hour, because once she wakes up, our daughter, she wants our full attention, you know, and so we're always gonna put our daughter first. So time management is definitely something you're gonna wrestle with when you have a child, but it does get better. As our daughter's gotten older, she's very chill. She doesn't require too much anymore aside from feeding her and changing her diaper, but you're never gonna have the amount of free time that you used to have before having a child. That's true. I'm gonna just leave it at that, and I'm gonna keep working to get better with my time. My goal is to actually put out even more content than I did before. So as you can see, I finally got to making this YouTube video, and so I'm working towards putting out a video at least once a week. We'll see how it goes, guys. Another difficulty that comes with having a child is definitely alone time. As an introvert, we really need that alone time. We really find solace in that. And so when our daughter came, it was definitely an adjustment to just not having nearly as much alone time as I used to. That's kind of just what it is. And I've learned to make the best of the little pockets, the little moments of alone time that I do have, whether it's in the shower, whether it's driving my car by myself. You really start to appreciate those moments, because those are times when you can just sit back and think and do the things that you're used to doing. But the amount of alone time you have is definitely going to depend a lot on just how your household is, how your relationship is with your partner. My wife, the way that we structure things, you know, I'm very much the one who's bringing home, you know, the bacon. So she knows that I need a certain amount of alone time to get the work done that I need to get done. And so she's good about making sure I get that time and do things that I need to do. But at the same time too, like even when I do have alone time and I see my wife is handling something with the baby, just me, my heart, and being the person that I am, I'll still just drop whatever I have going for myself and help my wife, because I don't want her to carry, you know, all of the weight, you know. So I try to, whenever I see opportunity for me to take some of the weight off of her, you know, I definitely make sure I do that. There's no pause button. There's no take a break pass. You have to be ready and fully attentive. When your child needs something, you have to drop everything you're doing and make sure your child is good. You know, there are times when I've been writing something or filming something, the baby wakes up, she's hungry. And so, yeah, I just have to stop the video and I have to go feed her. And that's just what it is. Ultimately, these are children that we brought into the world. And so you have to live with that responsibility and just be a good parent. One of the last difficulties that I can think of, guys, is financially. I had no idea how expensive babies were. I figured because it was a smaller human, things would be cheaper. Like if my shirt costs $20, I figure, okay, for a baby, it's probably like $8 or something like that. No, things for babies actually are more expensive than things for adults. And I don't get that. I feel like that's criminal, but that's just the way it is. That's something that you really do want to think about before you have a child and you bring another person into this world, because there's a lot of things you don't think about, you know, that a child will need. Medical things, clothes, so many things that come up that you have to have that money in the bank. You never want to be at a point where you're spending your last dollar on your child. You always want to have emergency money in the bank, because emergencies do happen, things come up, you know. And the reality is you will find a way to make it work. You might not be able to afford, you know, a certain thing that you may see that other babies have, or you see something on a commercial, oh, this is great for babies, but sometimes you just don't have it, you know, so you got to do the best with what you have. And I know for me, when I was growing up, my parents, they both had to work. They had to drop me off at daycare because they both needed to make money. Thankfully, with me and my wife, she can stay at home and take care of the baby, you know, while I focus more on making money. And I'm thankful too that I'm at a point now where I'm working from home, and so that helps me to be that much more present for my daughter. But still, guys, it's very expensive. Be prepared for that the best way you can. I don't want this video to be too long, so I just want to leave you with some of my top pieces of advice. You know, if you're about to be a parent or parenting is something that you're considering, here are just a few quick tips that you can implement into your life, and hopefully this makes your life a little bit easier. Get your sleep. Those first 2 weeks were brutal. Like, the baby wakes up throughout the night. You're constantly like just checking on the baby. The babies are so fragile at that point. So the one thing I've learned, and that somebody else told me, and I did take that advice, and it did help. When the baby sleeps, you sleep. Because if you don't sleep, if you try to do all this other stuff, when the baby wakes up, then you'll be tired, and now you're just like, oh man, what am I gonna do? Because I'm sleepy. I am fighting to stay awake, and now the baby is wide awoke and needs all of these things. So when the baby sleeps, you sleep. Remember that. My second piece of advice, don't be anxious. It's really easy to start overthinking things, to start stressing. Am I doing this right? Am I doing this wrong? Am I hurting the baby? Does the baby really love me? All of these things that you can start thinking in your head, but it's really no point. You know, the only thing that's important is that you show up and you be present and you do your best to take care of your child, okay? You won't always get everything right. But like I said earlier, experience is the best teacher. You want to be confident in who you are as a parent. Know that you're a good parent, okay? Because there are some parents out there who are not active or present in their kids' life. So for you just showing up, being there, and trying your best, that's the best thing that you can do for your child. Have a calm spirit. I'm someone who people have always described as being calm, but when you have a child, your patience will definitely be tested, and it's very important that you are able to keep your composure. Like, I remember this happened not too long ago. This apartment that I was living in, and I was just walking by this door, and I heard a baby just screaming, like, ah, crying so loud. But then I heard the mother was screaming at the baby. She was just like, what do you want? What? And she was just losing it, okay? And I don't think she realized that she was making the situation worse. Your baby can pick up on your energy, so it's important for you to stay calm. Like I said, even myself, I've been tested. I think it was like the second week, guys. I struggled because I would come back from working. You know, sometimes I go work at like a coffee shop all day, and I would come back and I would try to hold my baby daughter, and she would just start crying. And I was so confused. I'm like, I'm your dad. I do all of these things. I try to make sure you're good. Like, why are you crying with me? And then, you know, she'll be with my wife or she'll be with somebody else. She'll be calm. And it really affected me. And it really, like, I started getting in my head. My wife was just like, babe, she loves you. You have to just make sure you're taking the time for her to like see your face a lot and have that skin to skin contact. I took that advice, and I would start FaceTiming my daughter like when I wasn't at home. I would wake up in the middle of the night when she needed to be held, and I would just start holding my daughter a lot and just trying out different ways to see which one she felt most comfortable with. And literally I did that for a couple of days, and guys, she fell in love with me holding her. And it got to the point where I was the only one who she was calm with, and she cried with everyone else, you know. So it's really about taking the time out to make that connection with your child. No matter how busy you are, make them a priority. If they see you're frustrated, they can feel that. Even though they can't understand language and things like that, they can tell. Like, I had this thing where I was rushing, always trying to like put her to sleep and get my work done. No, they can feel it when you're trying to put them to sleep. They can feel it when you're rushing, when you don't really want to be there. So I forced myself to slow down, to stop everything I was doing, attend to my daughter, make sure she was good, talk to her, play with her, take that 30 minutes or whatever it took for her to just relax and be calm, you know. So it's so important that you keep a calm spirit. I kind of touched on this earlier, but just be active in your child's life, don't sit on the sidelines. Like, anytime I see that I can do something that's going to benefit my child, I just jump up and do it. If I see a bottle of milk is not made yet, but child is asleep and I know she's going to need it in the future, I just go make it. Or if I see my wife and she needs a break, I go make sure she gets the break that she needs. So as introverts, just like we value, intimacy in our relationships, think about it. Just like you want to make a connection of depth with someone versus on the surface, they want that same thing. So be intimate with your child, be active, be present, and they're going to appreciate that. You guys are going to form a bond. Be open to the advice of others when it comes to hearing their experience and things you can do to help with your child, because some people really do have some good tips, but to be honest with you, most of the advice that you get from other people is bad. Remember, like I said earlier, every child is different, and so just because it worked for their child doesn't mean it's going to work for your child. As a parent, you'll quickly learn your child. You'll get to know the things that they like and dislike. Do what's best for you in your situation. You got to listen to your guts, your instincts, your spirit. All of those things will tell you what's the right thing to do. So don't put so much weight into the opinions of others, because at the end of the day, a lot of people may have love for your child, but they're not going to love the child as much as you love your child. Okay, only you are truly gonna love your child to the point where you're willing to sacrifice yourself. Nobody else is gonna go to that extreme. Recharging is more important than ever now. I know as introverts, we value our recharging time so much. If you can't live near a family member, especially a family member who loves your child, it's good to have them around, because there will come times when you just need a break. Okay, you should not just be cooped up in a house all day. So if you have a family member that you can just drop the child off for a few hours and you and your spouse go on a date or go for a walk, do something physical or something that's good for your mental, those things are really important. You want to come back and be the best version of yourself. You don't want to be stressed and have all of this cooped up like frustration or whatever. So make sure you're taking the time to do those things that you've always enjoyed. The last thing I'll say is don't rush into parenthood. A lot of people always say, being a parent isn't easy. It's a lot of responsibility. And that was something that I always heard and I always knew, but you don't really understand it until you're in the thick of it. Don't rush into it, but at the same time, don't be afraid of it, because it's truly such a rewarding, amazing experience. I'm so grateful to have my daughter. It has truly changed my life. It has made me into a better person. But do your best to make sure you're in a good position to take care of a child. Try to have a stable home, a good foundation for your child. But as you know, sometimes it doesn't matter how much you plan. A lot of children come into this world unexpectedly. But if it does happen to you, if you do become a parent, embrace it. Have a good attitude, capture those memories, appreciate those moments, record those moments so you can look back on them. It goes by quickly. A lot of people say that, but now I get it. One moment our child was so small, and now she's big. She's obviously trying to talk. She's making a lot of noises. Sometimes I kid you not, she's singing. And so I'm curious to see if she's going to be a singer. She's trying to crawl. She's not quite there yet, but she's flipping over. She's getting in the position to crawl, and she's pushing to push herself up. She's also sitting up now. You know how you're lying down and you sit up. She's sitting up straight. It's all happening so quickly, so appreciate these moments and remember that you were once a child. It's important to be patient with them, because your parents were patient with you and you wouldn't be here without them. Be appreciative and make the best out of it. Yeah, I'll leave you with that, guys. One of these days, I will try to make a video with my daughter so you guys can see her. For right now, guys, this was just a quick update on what's going on in my life and why you guys haven't been getting as many videos as I usually do. Soon, I'm going to have it together and I'm going to be putting out these videos on a more consistent basis. But as for now, thank you guys for tuning in. Please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. Be past 2,000 subscribers, which is a very big deal. Let me know in the comments if you are an introverted parent or if you're expecting or anything like that. I want to get to know what you guys are going through, or if you've been an experienced parent or you've had several children. So let me know in the comments how you feel about being a parent, or maybe you don't want to be a parent. I'm curious to know, what you guys think. But as for now, until next time, peace.